Hey everyone, you're listening to InfoQuench with Jeff
and Amy,
a podcast with tips to make your life easier.
Covering pop culture, parenting, travel, minimalism, and more. Hey everyone. We're going to start this podcast episode off with a little story. And it goes like this. Jeff decided he was going to go out for a walk tonight. And then he came home. Nothing eventful happened during his walk. That's not what this story's about. But when he came home, he complimented me on how wonderful our flower boxes looked. I planted them earlier this year, and they're now overflowing with flowers, much to my delight. So then, fast forward a little bit, and we're recording our podcast for the evening. So I get up to pull the curtains closed, and I gaze out to the flower boxes, and what do I see? Some scumbag had a half-eaten fruit tray and decided that our flower boxes is where they should put it. So they put a half-eaten fruit tray crawling with bugs, plastic tray and all. The lid was in the smack dab in the middle of my petunias, and the fruit was strewn all over the sidewalk. And what monster does something like this? Walks along, sees a beautiful flower box, and then it's like, that's a great place to put all my disgusting garbage. I'm just gonna put it there. So I put on some plastic gloves, and I went out and I cleaned up the mess. And I'm not bitter about it at all. Not even a little bit. Sorry, listeners, you had to listen to me rant. I know you're not the type of people to do that, but if you know somebody who would do such a thing, just, I don't know. What are they thinking? What are these people thinking?
People shouldn't be doing that. We were both livid. I think this may have a little bit of it may slide into this podcast as well. This anger that we're feeling.
This anger. If you're wondering about royalties on that music, that was Jeff on guitar, so we're in the clear.
Yeah, we tried to get a little creative for the introduction.
We're recording this on New Brunswick Day, so a happy New Brunswick Day. We'll be releasing it tomorrow, which will be Boxing Day, New Brunswick Day.
Mm-hmm. We were had a great couple of days in Fundy National Park, staying in one of the yurts there. If you haven't done that, definitely check that out. It's so amazing. There's no electricity, but it's really fun. And we met this couple from Cole Harbour who
oh yes,
and they thought we were from the St. John's.
I know.
Yeah. How did that work? How did they find?
We were at the playground, and Hux was playing with their kid and introduced, I think our kids to one another. And the father asked where we were from, and Jeff said, "Oh, we just came up from St. John, an hour and a half drive from here." So he actually said how far away we were. Yeah. Not, we can't drive from Newfoundland in an hour and a half. And I had a St. John hat on. Clearly, St. John. Then I heard
excuse me.
Heard the father ask his daughter, or tell his daughter, "Oh, these folks are from St. John's."
But whatever, let's drop all this anger in 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, gone.
Okay. People who are listening from away.
Yeah.
We record our podcast in St. John, New Brunswick, and it's a pet peeve of St. Johners to be often confused with St. John's, Newfoundland.
Right. Not that we have anything against Newfoundlanders. Nothing at all.
No, but we just have our own identity.
We have our own identity.
And we want people to know how to say our city name. Right. So it is St. John, spelled out Saint, and there is no apostrophe S.
That's right.
And now the anger has gone.
Yeah, we're not even thinking about that fruit tray crawling with bugs in the And I know. Sorry. Okay, let's carry on. This is part 2.
You work hard to do nice things for your house.
I know.
I mean, we can't even carve a pumpkin and put it out there.
We get coffee cups. Like what?
They treat our flower boxes like
plastic
garbage bins.
spoons. Yeah, I know they do. It's horrible.
I put Christmas tree boughs in over the winter time to deter people, and it does help a bit. It stops people from putting their cigarette butts and everything into the empty flower bins or flower planter. Even I'm calling them bins now. Okay.
All right. So what's this podcast about? What are we talking about?
Well, this is part 2 of our How to Win Friends and Influence People podcast on
We know
Dale
it. We
Carnegie's
need
book.
no help in that department, honey.
Apparently, we need to learn how to influence people not to put garbage in our
Can you
planters.
imagine, like, we could put up a little sign we could put up a little sign.
Boom goes the mic stand.
A little outtake here for in the future. Bang. That's not the first time you've hit that boom stand.
Here's my little disclosure. I'm feeling a little under the weather. Luckily it didn't ruin our weekend. I'm just starting to feel a cold coming on today. But if I feel stuffy.
And I'm just getting finished a crazy cold that you probably got from me.
Yeah, thanks, hon.
I distinctively remember the kiss. You decided to do it. And I was like, okay. If that's what you want, baby. A cold.
Here's my germs.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
We're going to talk about 12 ways to win people to your way of thinking.
Okay.
Yeah.
But everybody has their own distinct way of thinking, though.
Well, they do.
Mm-hmm.
They do.
So why do they need yours? Why do they need somebody else's?
You promised not to ask any hard questions during this
That
podcast
wasn't a hard
episode
question.
because I do not have the
All right,
mental capacity to.
It's a more philosophical one, but okay.
okay.
Let's get going.
Well, everybody wants to know how to negotiate and win an argument.
That's right.
So these are just 12 little tips.
I just won
things
that
to
one.
think about when you're talking with somebody and you want to win them over to your way of thinking. I mean, we see this all the time on social media in the comment sections of popular news chaser sites.
Mm-hmm. Oh yes, the news
Or
everywhere
other
has a
public
news
sites, right?
chaser.
And people get into debates. Sometimes it's even on your friends' posts, and you see it, you'll read the comments and and it's very rare.
Excuse me.
It's a very rare occurrence that somebody actually changes their mind.
It's true, and I think it takes a really great person to be able to go into an argument with their own idea and then have it changed by someone else's. Like that takes a lot.
It does
to happen.
It takes emotional maturity.
Yeah. It takes emotion. That's a great way
to not only
explain it.
have it happen. I mean, perhaps when those arguments happen online, people are changing their mind, but they're not going to admit it in a comment section.
No,
They got too much online cred to maintain.
Yeah, but a lot of people just go in there steadfast and they're like, there's nothing that's going to change my mind. No, nothing that anybody can say is going to change my mind about what I think about this particular topic. And it's true usually because they don't have the capacity to change it.
That's right. And now I wish I was drinking an Aperol Spritz tonight, but I'm drinking Bye Bye Cold Tea.
No, we've had a lifestyle change.
Well, tonight's it's a cold change, so
Yes.
I love Bye Bye Cold Tea. Number 1, the only way to get the best of an argument is to avoid it. So whenever we argue with somebody, no matter if we win or lose the argument, we still lose. The other person will either feel humiliated or strengthened and will only seek to bolster their own position. We must try to avoid arguments whenever we can. So the whole idea of an argument is that, back and forth rebuttals versus,
Right.
Having a conversation.
It's a battle. It's a battle of ideas.
Yes.
It's like gladiator battle of ideas.
I picture like a debate, right? Where you got
Right.
people standing
But
behind a podium and they're, the argument is strong and they're not going to waver.
I wonder how many arguments, though, that, people come out and they're like, yeah, I won that. I won that argument, Usually I've seen arguments where no one wins. And it's just a clash that goes nowhere.
Yeah, usually someone just tires and gives up.
Yeah.
Number 2. So again, we're looking at 12 ways to win people to your way of thinking. And number 2 is to show respect for the other person's opinions. Never say, you're wrong. We must never tell people flat out that they are wrong.
I think you're wrong about that, though.
It will only serve to offend them and insult their pride. No one likes to be humiliated, so you must not be so blunt.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I mean, that's kind of common sense, to be honest.
Well, it's something recently we're trying to teach Hux, right?
But
is that we don't need to be pointing out everybody's mistakes or
what if you're in an argument, though, with someone who is unequivocally, obviously wrong? 100% wrong. What if you're in an argument with somebody and their argument is that Trump has never lied in his life?
So the intent isn't that...
That'd be an okay time to say, you're wrong.
Okay, well, the intent at this point, I think, is not to say that people are never wrong. People are definitely wrong.
Mhm.
It's just that you don't use the words "you're
Oh,
wrong."
okay.
So, for instance, in the Trump argument,
Yeah.
you might say, well, wouldn't you agree that there are people who might find that racist?
Yeah.
Would be another way to phrase it.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And that sort of leads into another point, which is start with questions to which the other person will answer yes. So do not begin by emphasizing the aspects in which we and the other person differ.
Mm-hmm.
Begin by emphasizing and continue emphasizing the things on which we agree. People must be started in the affirmative direction, and they will often follow readily.
Mm-hmm.
Never tell someone they are wrong, but rather lead them where we would like them to go with questions that they will answer yes to.
Okay, let's do an example then. Let's do that.
Okay.
Okay, so you...
Oh, you want me to give the example?
Sure.
Okay.
No, okay, I'll give the example. Trump
Okay.
never lies.
Oh, you mean you want to be just the
Yeah, I'll be the argument.
You want to be the person that's
Yeah,
wrong.
Yeah. Okay, I'll be the
but
one.
you're not wrong.
But I'm not wrong. Oh, I don't know how this works. Obviously.
So you're telling me you could never... Can you ever think of an instance where Trump has lied?
I can think of a million instances where Trump has lied.
Okay, so there I've just won.
Okay.
I won the argument.
Good job.
But we weren't arguing, and there are no winners.
Yep. Right. There is no.
But the intent.
I don't know what happened. You just did a Jedi mind trick on me or something.
But the intent is to have the discussion, get people thinking in a positive way. So, for instance, if you were going to, I don't know, buy a house, get people, thinking. If I was trying to sell you a house,
Yeah.
I'm a really bad salesperson, but if I was trying to sell you a house, I might say, I bet you're looking for a home that's affordable for your family. Would that be right?
Oh, I see what you mean. You want a sporty car, don't you? You want one that goes really fast on the highway.
Right. So you pick,
kind of thing.
it's things that you know that the two of you will agree on.
Yeah.
And to get people saying yes, and then you move towards how you can meet that.
Got this great children's toy. It's a bag of nails. What do you think? Huh? Kids love playing with nails, right?
I bet you want your kid to be sharper.
I bet
How
you-
about having them play with sharp objects?
Yeah, there you go. That kind of thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Hasbro, bag of nails.
Okay.
Excuse
I'm going. The next point is, if you're wrong, admit it quickly and emphatically. Whenever we are wrong, we should admit it immediately. When we fight, we never get enough, but by yielding, we often get more than we expected. When we admit that we are wrong, people trust us and they begin to sympathize with our way of thinking.
See, I've been in arguments where I take certain points of somebody's argument and say, yes, okay, I agree with you there, but I don't agree with you here at all, or here, So you give them a little bit of okay, at least a little bit of what I'm saying is right.
And this point is to take it even one step further, though, and admit that you were wrong.
Yeah.
To say the words you're wrong. And this is something that I can
said that in
actually
my
do
life.
quite easily now at my age.
Yeah. No,
There was
same.
a time where I would have a really hard time admitting that I made a mistake or that I was wrong. I quite readily admit it now.
Yeah.
Not that I make any more or less mistakes than before. I think
No.
I just, I'm aware of it and I'm okay with admitting it.
Yeah.
So
no,
when you're in an argument and you know that you're wrong and you admit it, then I think it gives integrity to the points that you...
Yeah, of course. If
you
you've
stay
made a
behind.
mistake and, you've made it, you should own up to it, Same with if you're doing having an argument, and you're right, well, you just admit that you were right. See, I told you I was right, that kind of thing, Yeah.
And it shuts
And you
it-
were wrong.
It'll often shut it down. If you're arguing with somebody about something and you just admit that you're wrong, sometimes it just throws them completely off their game.
Oh, I know.
They're all of a sudden like, oh, wait, I was prepared to have more of a fight on this one, right?
Well, good
So-
thing we don't really argue that much. We really don't. I don't know how that happened, but yeah.
Well, we don't argue, we discuss.
We discuss. That's right.
We communicate.
Excuse me.
We cough continuously
Yeah.
throughout this podcast episode.
Yeah, sorry. I'm trying to angle it away.
We should have made some tea.
Yeah, I should have.
It's all about the
or
tea.
had a glass of water at least. Came unprepared big time.
So
okay.
another point is to begin in a friendly way. So
You look
there's
nice.
There's a saying, a drop
Trump's
of...
a liar. That kind of thing. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Don't you have another cough in there?
You're
need
trying
to,
to
get out?
talk. You're trying to talk. Go ahead.
There's a quote that in the book: "A drop of honey can catch more flies than a gallon of gall." I don't know what gall is, but I know my saying is usually, "You catch more flies with honey than beep."
Yeah.
So if we begin our interactions with others in a friendly way, people will be more receptive.
Mm-hmm.
Even if we are greatly upset, we must be friendly to influence people to our way of thinking. I remember working in a credit department actually a couple of summers when I was in university. I worked in collections.
Oh man.
And I had to collect on overdue bills. And I remember when I started out, some of the senior staff who worked there commented on the fact they felt I was too friendly with the customers.
Too friendly.
They thought I was being too nice on the phone, and that I would never collect any money that way.
Yeah.
And I remember after my 4 months of being there, I had set actually a record and collected over $250,000.
Oh my goodness.
In that 4 months on overdue bills.
That's insane. $250,000.
I know.
And so give me an example. So,
well, I'm not going to say what company it was,
no,
but
no,
just that.
No, give me an example of one of your calls, like you would call and you would say sort of like, hey, like.
Well, I think it's hearing people
times
out.
are tough, and I realize that it's hard to make your payments, but could you make a little one, kind of thing?
Well, I think it is having hearing people out,
mm-hmm.
Having a little bit of sympathy,
yeah.
And it's important to understand that not everybody, they're not just choosing not to pay their bills. There's reasons for it.
There's hard times, right?
So being able to make arrangements that work for both parties,
mm-hmm.
and otherwise, if it's just confrontation, people put their foot down and then they just don't.
And like you said before, it kind of throws them for a loop, right? They answer their phone and there's this really friendly voice that's supposed to be really angry, to get the money.
So beginning in a friendly way, I've proven is effective.
Okay.
Maybe not always. I don't know.
Yeah.
Depending on your role, but
maybe not.
So, where are we at here? On point number 6 of 12 ways to win people to your way of thinking. Let the other person do a great deal of the talking. So people do not like listening to us boast. They enjoy doing the talking themselves. Let them rationalize and talk about the idea because it'll taste much sweeter to them in their own mouth.
Yeah, that's true, actually.
And I've seen this. It often makes people uncomfortable sometimes when you're having a discussion and you're quite quiet. People have a tendency to want to fill the void.
I know. They're not
comfortable with silence.
It makes them uncomfortable. Yeah, and I'm like that too sometimes. To be honest.
I am too.
There are certain friends that are just like that, and I find them always filling the void when they probably are more like have a more Buddhist ideology about it all, like just kind of just let the space be space, man, that kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah. Well,
and I mean I know people who are much more maybe they're more soft spoken or they use far fewer words, and they would say that people do pay more attention when they do say something because they choose their words sparingly.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are having a discussion with somebody, let the other person do the talking and let that be a strategy.
Mm-hmm.
Number 7, let the other person feel the idea is his or hers. People inherently like ideas that they come to on their own better than those that are handed to them on a platter. Ideas can best be carried out by allowing others to think they arrived at it themselves.
Yes.
So this one it's tricky, but if you practice it, you can do it.
Yeah.
You sort of, within the discussion, make subtle suggestions, and then eventually the person will come up with the idea that you want to propose.
Yeah.
But, the key is to do it very subtly.
I have a question, though. How do you make friends and influence people if you just don't like people?
Well, then you just don't even care about making friends. You're not picking the house. You're not picking up the book.
You're an introvert.
Yeah.
You're listening to the podcast and making that first baby step is what you're doing.
Number 8, try honestly to see from the other person's point of view. Other people may often be wrong, and we cannot condemn them. We must seek to understand them.
Yeah.
Success in dealing with people requires a sympathetic grasp of the other person's viewpoint.
Yeah, that makes sense too. All these points make sense. Where did he get them though? Where did Dale Carnegie get these ideas? He didn't come up with them himself. He had to have got them from somebody else. Like this is the 40s, right?
1936.
1936.
People, I mean, he did a lot of training and
I'm
courses,
sure.
so he probably perfected these techniques over the years. And his book, I remember, delves into quite a bit of examples and ways that he's picked up on this.
Yeah, it's kind of like the same sort of philosophy as Marie Kondo. She didn't come up with all of those ideas for organizing stuff on her own. She just collected them. She organized all those other people's ideas into their own. Her own idea,
somebody has to come up
book.
with the idea originally, right?
It's true.
So,
It's like music. It's like hardly anything is original these days. Maybe not. I mean, that's a controversial thing to say, but you know. And also, I just wanted to say, before we go on to the next one, we should make it clear that I made a mistake in the first. I hardly ever make mistakes, but the first podcast, I thought it was Dale Carnegie, who was responsible for Carnegie Hall, but it's Andrew Carnegie. So I just wanted to make that clear.
I think the building was actually even built long before Dale Carnegie.
I wanted to admit that was my mistake.
Well done, hon.
Thank you.
I didn't even have to point it out.
No. See, I'm following all these steps as we do this podcast.
I think trying to see something from someone else's point of view, even if you think that they're being very narrow-minded or, you know, you just, if you do take a minute, it can help you figure out ways to bring them around to your way of thinking.
Oh, yeah.
If you can sympathize with where they're coming from, then you can use wording and you know, phrases that will appeal to that line of thinking. Number 9, be sympathetic with the other person's ideas and desires. People are hungering for sympathy. They want us to recognize all that they desire and feel. If we can sympathize with others, they will appreciate our side as well, and will often come around to our way of thinking.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's sort of, you know, it kind of goes a little bit hand in hand with trying to see it from their point of view, but also understanding why they think the way they do. For instance, if you are in a war-torn country, and there maybe you were always oppressed by a particular group of people, then you might have, you know, a racial bias towards those people. You know, there may be something that has influenced, and even though that's not right to paint that race based on your experiences, if you can understand where the person is coming from,
right,
and sympathize with that point of view a little bit, it might help have the discussion be a little bit more compassionate. Yeah,
it's true, and then that would loosen up the person that you're possibly having the argument with to, just change their ideology, change the way that they're thinking in a slight way, Yeah, definitely.
So, number 10, appeal to the nobler motives. Everyone likes to be glorious in their own eyes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I love being glorious. People believe that they do things for noble and morally upright reasons. If we can appeal to others' noble motives, we can successfully convince them to follow our ideas.
Interesting.
So if you make them think that what they're doing is, I mean, it sounds manipulative, but if you can point out maybe the charitable aspects.
It's the kind of thing that dictators do in a way,
No, but there are people who are very, very effective at negotiating and and you have people who are good at mediating and getting two parties to find a solution.
That's true.
So there are people who do this stuff really, really well. So I don't expect you to memorize all 12 of these ideas and put them
just something to think about, really.
If you try to put them to test in every conversation, every discussion you have with somebody, it might seem a little odd. But if you can find one or two that seem to work for you, you may find that it does help move a discussion along and maybe get people to come to an agreement a little bit better. Number 11, dramatize your ideas. In this fast-paced world, simply stating a truth isn't enough. The truth must be made vivid, interesting, and dramatic. So television's been doing this for years, and sometimes ideas are not enough. We must dramatize them.
It's true.
So, a lot of times people will do videos, or they'll tell a story to paint an image.
Yeah.
Similar to what we did at the
They'll do
beginning of
sneak
this
peeks kind of
podcast episode.
That's right, we did.
We tried to dramatize it a little bit. Even had the musical background.
Yeah.
But it can definitely help emphasize your point if you drive home the idea with a little bit of drama.
Yeah.
And finally, number 12. Throw down a challenge. The thing that most motivates people is the game. Everyone desires to excel and prove their worth. If we want someone to do something, we must give them a challenge, and they will often rise to meet it.
Well, like Dungeons and Dragons kind of thing, or chess.
I don't know about that.
Okay, maybe not.
But I've seen this done before.
I challenge you to a duel.
Sometimes when people are in an argument or a discussion, and they want somebody to do something, in the end, kids will have to, I bet you can't. I bet you won't do it because you just can't do it.
Oh yeah.
You won't do what I want because
you
can't do it. You put that challenge out there. That's probably the least mature way to do it. But
it makes sense though.
But sometimes just to challenge people to say, maybe you don't think my idea will work, but prove me wrong. Let's give it a try.
Let's give it a try, and then
show me.
Challenge accepted.
All right.
That kind of thing,
Exactly.
Right.
So that type of thing. Yeah, it could definitely work in the schoolyard, but if you take a little bit more of a mature spin on it, it can work as adults as well.
I guess if you have like a couple of these from the podcast in the back of your head, if you remember them and stuff, you can always, just apply them whenever, just try it and maybe let us know how it went, I challenge you and let us know how the challenge went and stuff,
I think the themes from this are really about, listening to the other person, being sympathetic. Try to understand where they're coming from.
Yeah.
Try to keep the conversation going both ways. Having it be positive.
Is what we did this whole podcast.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
It's all about it. They're just, and it's just another set of communication skills. Again, it's not trickery or, anything to try to fool people into agreeing with you. It's just a way to have good, open, honest communication so that you can come to an agreement that you're both happy with.
And hopefully we presented those ideas in an entertaining fashion for this podcast. I know it can be kind of somewhat dry material, but we tried to, spice it up a bit for us.
I don't find Carnegie dry at all.
No,
I love
Carnegie
this stuff.
What's
great though? It's basic people skills that you can practice anywhere. So, the next time you're interacting with somebody, just try even one of these.
Say their name.
Say their name.
So that you won't forget it. Because I'm so bad with names. I'm horrible with names.
Well, use their name and practice listening. What do they say? We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so we should listen twice as much as we talk.
That's right. That is exactly what that saying goes.
If we did that, this podcast would be 20 minutes of silence and 10 minutes of me talking.
Well, you did a great job.
How was that for some sleepy bye-bye colds tea math for you?
Fantastic. It's fantastic.
I hope you found something interesting out of this one, and we look forward to the next episode. Happy New Brunswick Day, everyone. I hope it was a great one.
Happy New Brunswick Day, everyone. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you in the next podcast.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks for listening.
Be sure to visit InfoQuench.com to subscribe and catch up on past episodes.
You can also check out InfoQuench on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Till next time.